All right. Greetings. Michael DDA here. We are continuing our adventure in Torah. This really is an adventure. You know, I want to live the life that Jacob lived. I want to live the life that Abraham lived. These were men of Elohim that were set apart in the world. And today, we're going to see that these men, boy, especially Jacob and his seed, oh, they were powerful men. You do not see this in Torah. We saw in Yasher, these men, two of them took out a whole city, Shechem. And the 10 brothers took out 6 cities. 6 or 7 cities. Maybe it was 7 cities. 8 altogether if you count Shechem. But these are powerful men fighting very, very powerful men. But man, they had abilities. They have abilities that you could see in Joel chapter 2. Yeah, amazing stuff. Well, we're going to see it today. Wait until you see. You know, you don't catch this in Torah. It really bothers me that Torah has taken away the power that the men of Elohim, those in covenant with Yahovah, actually have. You don't see it. It's not there. It's hidden from us. But boy, when you see Yasher, you see how it all meshes together. And I think that there are things left out of Torah. Dare I say on purpose? Because the publishers, those who own the publishing companies, don't want people to know the power in being a Hebrew, a man of Elohim who is set apart to only him. Well, last week, you know, we have a great Elohim. He put Joseph in slavery to provide for his family and for the families of the earth. That's a caring Elohim. And we saw that last week they finally had to go back to Egypt. And they couldn't go back to Egypt without Benjamin. Well, Joseph saw Benjamin, delighted to see the family, asked about his father. Remember, spent some time in Joseph's house. They had a meal. And it was during that meal that Joseph seated his brothers according to their birth order. And I'm sure they were very impressed. He says he's prognosticating. He can tell the future. He knows things. Really, he's their brother. And he knows exactly when they were born. Probably knows their birth dates too. Well, during that meal, and it doesn't say it in Torah, in Genesis, Benjamin sat with Joseph. And Joseph, we can read it in Yasher. Here it is. It says, and Benjamin said, thy servant is knowing also in all wisdom, which my father taught me. They had just been talking about the sons that he had. He named all of his sons. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, look now at this instrument and understand where thy brother Joseph is in Egypt, who you said went down to Egypt. And Benjamin beheld that instrument with the map of the stars of heaven. And he was wise and looked therein to know where his brother was. I'd love to know what this instrument is. And Benjamin divided the whole land of Egypt into 4 divisions. And he found that he was sitting upon the throne before him who was his brother Joseph. And Benjamin wondered greatly. And when Joseph saw that his brother Benjamin was so much astonished, he said unto Benjamin, what hast thou seen, and why art thou astonished? And Benjamin said unto Joseph, I can see by this that Joseph, my brother, sitteth here with me upon the throne. And Joseph said unto him, I am Joseph, thy brother. Reveal not this thing unto thy brethren. Behold, I will send thee with them when they go away, and will command them to be brought back unto the city, and I will take thee away from them. Oh my gosh! It's another test. It's happening. But think of it. Joseph has just revealed himself to Benjamin, his brother. Amazing. He says, and if they dare their lives and fight for thee, hear that? If they dare their lives and fight for thee. Do we see that in Torah? Then shall I know that they have repented of what they did unto me, and I will make myself known to them. And if they forsake thee, when I take thee, then thou shalt remain with me, and I will wrangle with them, and they shall go away, and I will not become known to them. Well, we know what's going to happen. But it says we're supposed to go to 44. So let's read chapter 44 of Genesis. Let's see. Are they fighting for their brother? What is actually happening here? Here's 44. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, fill the men's sacks with food. They were eating, they were drinking. That same night is when this is happening. He's commanding the steward of his house to fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and each man's money in the mouth of a sack, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, and his grain money. So he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. Keep in mind, Benjamin ate with Joseph. He wasn't eating with the brothers. He ate with Joseph. Joseph said, he's an only child, and I'm an only child. We're going to eat together. Does it make sense in his brothers' minds that perhaps by chance, may it never be, Kalila, that Benjamin took the cup when he was sitting next to Joseph? I think this is what they're going to think. He says, and as soon as morning dawned, and the men were sent away, they and their donkeys, when they had gone out of the city and were not yet far off, Joseph said to the steward, get up, follow the men. And when you overtake them, say to them, why have you repaid evil for good? Oh, this is a slap in the face for men of Elohim. Look at what Samuel says. Look at what Psalm says. Probably David speaking. Not that the sons of Jacob knew what David is or Saul. This is before them, of course. But this is the attitude that men of Elohim have. This is what they got from Shem. The brothers are accused not merely of being thieves, but also repaying evil for good. Now David had said, surely in vain have I kept all this fellow, that we're talking about all that this fellow Nabal hath in the wilderness, so that nothing was missing, all that pertained unto him. And he has requited me evil for good. Here David says, they rewarded me evil for good, to the bereavement of my soul. They have rewarded me evil for good, and hatred for my love. Whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. This is a serious accusation that this servant, steward of Joseph's house is saying to them. Well, actually, this is Joseph telling the steward to say this at this point. He hasn't even said it yet. Then he says, is not this one from which my Lord drinks, Adonai drinks, and from which he indeed practices divination? Have you done evil in doing so? Well, we're going to see in Yasher that he's accusing them of taking this cup so that they can find his brother, because they can practice divination, prognostication. Here's the word. It says the steward faithfully carries out Joseph's orders and overtakes the unsuspecting brothers. This is nakash. Nakash is spelled generally to prognosticate. I had to look up, what does prognosticate mean? He obviously doesn't practice divination. I mean, he's a man of Elohim. Joseph's not going to be like that. But it may appear that that way to his brothers who don't know that they are being tested. Here's prognosticate, to foreshow, to indicate a future event by a present sign. You know, this is maybe what it appears to the brothers. And remember, he said he used the cup to tell the birth order. Well, we know that he knew the birth order, and we know that this is a test. He knows more than he's telling the brothers, is my point. So he overtook them, and he spoke to them these same words. And they said to him, why does Adonai say these words? Here it is. Far be it from us. This is the Kalilah. Far be it from us. God forbid. May it never be that we would one, steal something, but repay evil for good. It is not going to happen. That your servants should do this thing. Look, we have brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money which we found in the mouth of the sacks. This is how honest we are. How then can we steal silver and gold from your Lord's house? Then remember, he's still talking to the steward of the house at this point. Now listen to what they say. Talk about speaking without thinking. You know, we do that a lot sometimes. We have to guard our mouth. He says, and this is Judah that's saying this, I believe. Maybe it doesn't say right offhand, but it says, with whomever of your servants it is found, let him die, and we will also be my Lord's slaves. And he said, now also let it be according to thy words. This is the steward that's saying this. Let it be according to thy words. Here, with whomever of thy servants it be found, let him die, and we ourselves will become servants of Adonai. Adonai's servants. I put, we cannot let rash words out of our mouth. We must guard our lips. You know, there's a lot of places in the scriptures where men spoke words without really thinking about it and got themselves into trouble. Here's just a few examples. Set a guard, O Yahovah, over my lips. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Do not trust in a friend. Do not put your confidence in a companion. Guard the doors of your mouth from her who lies in your bosom, even your woman. Do not be rash with your mouth, and let not your heart utter anything hastily before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you are on earth. Therefore, let your words be few. The words of the wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of a fool shall swallow him up. The words of his mouth begin with foolishness, and the end of his talk in raving madness. I have to think it's got to be Judah who uttered these words. He had to think that there is absolutely no chance that cup was in any of their sacks, that it was foolishness. And I think that's why he spoke so boldly, not knowing that he had been set up. Here, this is Jacob when he was being chased by Laban after Rachel had stolen the Elohim of his house, his idols. And he said, well, these words are uttered in desperation and full confidence and belief in their innocence. Little did the brothers understand. Oh, I'm still talking about this. Here it is in Rachel, about Rachel. With whomever thou findest thy Elohim. He's talking to Nabal. No, he's talking to Laban. Let him not live. Remember, it's Rachel that did it. Is he possibly bringing damnation on Rachel? Rachel's going to die 5 years from now because of this. I think she died early. With whomever thou findest thy Elohim, let him not live. Before our brethren discern thou that what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. Well, this man, Jephthah, I guess his name is. He also cursed his daughter unknowingly. He was going off to fight the Ammon's seed, and told Jehovah that he would slaughter the first thing that came out of his house when he came back successfully. And the daughter, his only daughter, he had no sons, just a daughter, came out of his house delighted to see her dad. And he had sworn to Elohim, and apparently he put her down. He sacrificed her. King Saul also did something unintentionally and ended up cursing his son. Told everybody that they can't eat any food until the enemies are defeated. And Jonathan had had killed dozens of men and was famished, saw the honey on the ground and ate of the honey, not knowing that his father said, cursed be anybody who does that. Did Jonathan die earlier because of that? I wonder. I don't know. Well, 44:10. And he said, now also let it be according to thy words. Yeah, this is the steward that's saying this. He with whom it is found shall be my slave, and you shall be blameless. Then each man speedily let down his sack to the ground, and each opened his sack, and he searched. And he began with the oldest and left off with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. They tore their clothes. They were horrified. And each man loaded his donkey and returned to the city. And Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, and he was still there. And they fell down before him on the ground. And Joseph said unto them, what deed is this that you have done? Did you not know that such a man as I can certainly practice divination, knows how to prognosticate? Here it is again, prognosticate. Nakash is the word that they use there. And then Judah said, what shall we say? What shall we say, Adonai, my master? Talking to Joseph. What shall we speak? How shall we clear ourselves? God has found the iniquity of your servants. Here we are. Adonai's slaves, our master's slaves. Both we and he also with whom the cup was found. Well, again, harsh words. He's telling now, he told the steward once already. Now he's telling Joseph that we're going to be your slaves, us and our brother. And Joseph said, Kalilah, far be it, God forbid. May it never be that I should do so. The man whose hand the cup was found, he shall be my slave. And as for you, go in peace to your father. I have something to say about this, but I think I'm going to wait for it just a little bit. Yeah, may it never be. May it never be. God forbid, another version says. King James says, God forbid. And Judah came near to him and said, My Lord, please let your servant speak a word in my Lord's hearing. And do not let your anger burn against your servant, for you are even like Pharaoh. Adonai, my master, asked his servant, saying, Have you a father or a brother? And we said to my Lord, We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age who is young. His brother is dead, and he alone is left. It says of his mother's children. No, it says, and he alone is left of his mother. See, I think this is part of the reason why. Enough. I think this is part of the reason why Joseph is so intent on preserving Benjamin, because Benjamin is all that he has left of Rebekah. He cursed Rebekah unknowingly. We already talked about. He is left alone of his mother, and his father loves him. Then you said to your servants, Bring him down to me, that I may set eyes on him. He's letting them know they've been set up. And we said to my Lord, my Adonai, my master, the lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. But you said to your servants, Unless your youngest brother comes down to you, you shall see my face no more. So it was when we went up to your servant, my father. I have that read there because I think there should be a comment there. Your servant, my father, that we told him the words of my Lord. And our father said, Go back and buy us a little food. But we said, We cannot go down. If our youngest brother is not with us, then we shall, if our youngest brother is with us, then we will go down. For we may not see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Remember, he had Simon at the time too. So going back to Egypt with Benjamin benefited Simon as well. Then your servant, my father, said to us, You know that my woman bore 2 sons. There it is, my woman, my Isha. Here, this is Wayne, this is exactly what we're talking about. Here is Ish, or Isha, and the Yod that we were talking about earlier says, here is my woman. You know that my woman bore me 2 sons. And one went from me, and I said, Surely he is torn to pieces. And I've not seen him since. But if you take this one also from me, and calamity befalls him, you shall bring down my gray hair with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore, when I come to your servants, my father, and the lad is not with us. Since his life is bound in the lad's life, it will happen when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. So your servants will bring down the gray hair of your servant, our father, with sorrow to the grave. For your servant became surety. Remember, we talked about surety last week. Is what we are to that straw man, that human that we think is as a real person, not a man, a human. A human is the color of man, but he's not a man. He's a human, the color of man. Oh, we have got to learn the words that are being used against us in courts of law. For your servant became surety for the lad to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father forever. Where's my note here? Oh, yeah, just talking about what we talked about last week. Now, therefore, please take your servant. Please let your servant remain instead of the lad as a slave for my lord. Oh, he's going to go into this a lot in Yasher. And let the lad go up with his brothers. For how can I go up to my father if the lad is not with me? Lest perhaps I see the evil that would come upon my father. No, he can't let his father perish right in front of him, not having his brother with him. Well, the very next thing that we're going to talk about next week is he's going to say, and Joseph could not restrain himself before all those who stood by him. And he cried out, make everyone go from me. So no one stood with him. And no one stood with him. Well, Joseph made himself known to his brothers, and he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard it. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. What was the test that we said was going to happen? If they will fight for you, are they fighting for Joseph? For Benjamin? I think not. Let's read the same portion in Yasher and see if we don't see a much stronger, hardier, vibrant men representing Yehovah and speaking before Pharaoh. I think it puts a whole new understanding on it. Well, he said, if they dare their lives and fight for thee, then shall I know that they have repented of what they did unto me. Does it seem like they dared their lives and fought for Benjamin in what we just read in Genesis 43? I think not. But look at what we're going to see here that is going to happen in Yasher. Picking up around the same point that we picked up in the last story. He's loading their sacks. It's the evening. They're having their evening meal. And now they're told the steward to fill their sacks. And Joseph commanded his officer to fill their sacks with food and to put each man's money in a sack and to put a cup in the sack of Benjamin, the cup in the sack of Benjamin, and to give them provision for the road. And they did so unto them. And on the next day, the men rose up early in the morning, and they loaded their asses with the corn, and they went forth from Benjamin, and they went to the land of Canaan with their brother Benjamin. I was thinking this morning, they have 2 growing seasons at least. Canaan has, they have wheat in the spring. And they have they have barley in the spring. And then they have wheat, kind of midsummer. And then they're going to have the corn at the end of the summer, into the fall. Yet they seem like corn was the main product. It says they loaded their asses with their corn. And they went forth from Benjamin, and they went to the land of Canaan with their brother Benjamin. Hey, enough, please. That's enough. I'm sorry. I'm babysitting some pups here today. Moses is not a problem. His younger brother is a little bit more challenging, though. And they had not gone far from Egypt when Joseph commanded him that was set over his house, the steward, saying, "Rise, pursue these men before they get too far from Egypt, and say unto them, Why have you stolen my master's cup?" Didn't say anything about repaying evil with evil here. And Joseph's officer rose up, and he reached them, and he spoke unto them all the words of Joseph. And when they heard this thing, they became exceedingly wroth. Now, this is a little bit different attitude than they had in Torah. And they said, "He with whom thy master's cup shall be found shall die, and we shall become slaves." That's the same. But it says wroth, exceedingly wroth. And he hastened, and each man brought down his sack from his ass. And they looked in their bags, and the cup was found in Benjamin's bag. And they all tore their garments, and they returned to the city. And look what it says. And they smote Benjamin in the road, continually smiting him until he came into the city, and they stood before Joseph. They're not before Joseph yet. Here it says Judah's anger was kindled, and he said, "This man," he's saying it to the steward, "this man has only brought me back to destroy Egypt this day." Strong words, wouldn't you say? Could Judah destroy Egypt, especially with the help of his brothers? And the men came to Joseph's house, and they found Joseph sitting upon the throne, and all the mighty men standing at his right and left. And Joseph said unto them, "What is this act that you have done, that you took away my silver cup and went away? But I know that you took my cup in order to know thereby in what part of the land your brother was." That's the pretense he knows that's not the case. And Judah said, "What shall we say to our master? What shall we speak? And how shall we justify ourselves?" Exactly what it says in Torah. "Elohim has this day found the iniquity of our servants. Therefore he has done this thing unto us this day." Word for word from what we read in Torah. Remember, the brothers repented even when they were going down to Egypt the first time. This is the second time that they've done. They started home, now they're back, kind of a third time. But they repented the first time of what they had done to their brother and resolved to find Joseph if they could in Egypt. Now it says, "And Joseph rose up and caught hold of Benjamin." Joseph is taking Benjamin and took him from his brethren with violence. And he came to the house and locked the door at them. He went inside with Joseph, or with Benjamin, and locked the door. And Joseph commanded him who sat over his house that he should say unto them, "Thus says the king, go in peace to your father. Behold, I've taken the man in whose hand my cup was found." Well, do you remember what Jacob told his sons? Here it is. We read it last week. "And Jacob strictly commanded his sons concerning Benjamin, saying, Take heed of him in the way in which you are going. Do not separate yourselves from him in the road, neither in Egypt. What has happened? Joseph has just now taken Benjamin into his house and shut the door. Had the steward come back out and say, be gone. Go back to your house. We're settled here. Remember, it's a test. Will they fight for you? And Judah saw, remember, he's the one who has surety for Benjamin. I think this is why Judah's doing most of the speaking. Although, remember, Judah, he had the kind of the kingly portion of the blessing. What did we say? Levi, Simeon, Levi. Levi had the priestly blessing. Judah had the kingly blessing. And it seemed like there was one other portion. I forget what it was that one of the brothers had. Was it Simeon? It was not Reuben. Don't remember what it was. Not coming to me right now. Then Judah saw the dealings of Joseph with them. Judah approached him and, look what it says, broke open the door. I would say that the dealings that they're having together right now are turning badly. Broke open the door and came with his brethren before Joseph. Not going to be separated from Benjamin. Their father said, keep your eye on him. And Judah said unto Joseph, let it not seem grievous in thy sight, in the sight of my Lord, my Adonai, my master. May thy servant, I pray thee, speak a word before thee. And Joseph said unto him, speak. And Judah spoke before Joseph, and his brethren were there standing before them. And Judah said unto Joseph, surely when we first came to our Lord, our master, to buy food, thou didst consider us as spies in the land. And we brought Joseph before thee, Benjamin before thee, and thou still makest sport of us this day. Can you sense the hostility that is, dare I say, and boldness that Judah is now starting to have towards Joseph, Pharaoh's number 2 man? Now therefore, let the king hear my words, and send, I pray thee, our brother, that he may go along with us to our father, lest thy soul perish this day, and all the souls of the inhabitants of Egypt. Whoa, are we talking some fighting words now? Dost thou not know what 2 of my brethren, Simeon and Levi, did unto the city of Shechem and unto the 7 cities of the Amorites on account of their sister Dinah? And also what they would do for the sake of their brother Benjamin? Do you understand the situation that you're putting yourself in, Joseph? I forget what his Egyptian name was. And I. So also, oh my gosh. And also what they would do for the sake of their brother Benjamin. And I, with my strength, who am greater and mightier than both of them, will come this day unto thee and thy land. If thou art unwilling to send our brother, hast thou not heard what our Elohim had made what our Elohim, who made choice of us, did unto Pharaoh on account of Sarah, our mother, whom he took away from our father, that he smote him and his household with the heavy plague? That even unto this day the Egyptians relate this wonder to each other. So will our Elohim do unto thee on account of Benjamin, whom thou hast this day taken from our father. You know, the world does not want people to know that if they will become the sons of Elohim, enter into covenant with him at Passover, that they will have power. What does it say? They who wait upon Yahovah shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings of eagles. They shall run and not be weary. And on account of the evils which thou hast this day heaped over us in thy land, for our Elohim will remember his covenant with our father Abraham and bring evil upon thee, because thou hast grieved the soul of our father this day. Now therefore hear my words, that I have this day spoken unto thee, and send our brother, that he may go away, lest thou and thy people of thy land die by the sword. For you cannot prevail over me. And Joseph answered Judah, saying, why hast thou opened wide thy mouth? And why dost thou boast over us, saying, strength is with thee? As Pharaoh liveth. As Pharaoh liveth. You know, Judah says, as Jehovah liveth. Joseph, playing his role well, says, as Pharaoh liveth. If I command all my valiant men to fight with you, surely thou and these brethren would sink in the mire. And Judah said unto Joseph, surely it becometh thee and thy people to fear me. As Jehovah liveth, once I draw my sword, I shall not sheathe it again until I shall this day have slain all Egypt. And I will commence with thee and finish with Pharaoh thy master. Oh, my goodness. Do you hear the strength of these men? And Joseph answered and said unto him, surely strength belongs not alone to thee. I am stronger and mightier than thou. Surely if thou draw thy sword, I will put it to thy neck and the necks of all thy brethren. They're just bantering back and forth. And Judah said unto him, surely if I this day open my mouth against thee, I would swallow thee up that thou be destroyed from off the earth, and perish this day from thy kingdom. And Joseph said, surely if thou openest thy mouth, I have power and might to close thy mouth with a stone, until thou shalt not be able to utter a word. See how many stones are before us? Surely I can take a stone and force it into thy mouth and break thy jaws. And Judah said, Elohim is witness between us, that we have not hitherto desired to battle with thee. We don't want to fight. We just want our brother. Only give us our brother, and we will go from thee. And Joseph answered and said, as Pharaoh liveth, if all the kings of Canaan came together with you, you should not take him from my hand. Now therefore go your way to your father, and your brother shall be unto me for a slave, for he has robbed the king's house. Remember, Benjamin is totally aware of what's going on right now. And Judah said, what is it to thee, or to the character of the king? Surely the king sendeth forth from his house throughout the land silver and gold, either in gifts or expenses. And thou still talkest about thy cup? which thou didst place. He knows it now, which thou didst place in my brother's bag, and saith he has stolen it from thee. Elohim forbid, Kalilah, our brother Benjamin or any of the seed of Abraham should do this thing to steal from thee or from anyone else, whether king, prince, or any man. We don't steal. Kalilah, God forbid, may it never be. Now therefore cease this accusation, lest the whole earth hear thy words, saying, for a little silver the king of Egypt wrangled with the men, and he accused them and took their brother for a slave. And Joseph answered and said, take unto you this cup. Now he's going to give it to him. Take unto you this cup and go from me, and leave your brother for a slave. For it is the judgment of a thief to be a slave. And Judah said, why art thou not ashamed of thy words, to leave our brother and to take the cup? Surely if thou givest us thy cup, or 1,000 times as much, we would not leave our brother for the silver which is found in the hand of any man, that we will not die over him. There it is. Remember, he says, will they die for you? Will they fight for you? Here it is. And Joseph answered, why did thou forsake your brother? Oh, listen to this. So interesting. Joseph answered him, why didst thou forsake your brother and sell him for 20 pieces of silver unto this day? And why then will you not do the same to this, your brother? And Judah said, Jehovah is witness between me and thee, that we desire not thy battles, nor therefore give us our brother. Therefore give us our brother, and we will go from thee without quarreling. Judah completely ignored his question. What was his question? Why did you forsake your brother and sell for 20 pieces of silver unto this day? And Joseph answered and said, if all the kings of the land should assemble, they will not be able to take your brother from my hand. And Judah said, what shall we say unto our father when he sees that our brother cometh not with us, and will grieve over him? And Joseph answered and said, this is the thing which you shall tell your father. The rope has gone after the bucket. The bucket falls down the well. The rope went with it. And Judah said, surely thou art a king. And why speakest thou these things, giving false judgments? Woe unto the king who is like unto thee. And Joseph answered and said, there is no false judgment in the words that I speak on account of your brother Joseph. For all of you had sold him to the Midianites for 20 pieces of silver. And you all denied it to your father and said to him, an evil beast had devoured him. Joseph has been torn to pieces. Well, he's again going to ignore the question. And Judah said, behold, the fire of Shem burneth in my heart. Now I will burn all your land with fire. And Joseph answered and said, surely it's actually daughter-in-law, he's talking to Judah, thy daughter-in-law, Tamar, who killed your sons, extinguished the fire of Shem. They have Shechem. They got an extra 3 letters in there. And Judah said, if I pluck out a single hair from my flesh, I will fill all Egypt with its blood. And Joseph answered and said, such is your custom to do as you did to your brother whom you sold. Here he is, the 3rd time talking about this. You dipped his coat in the blood and brought it to your father in order that he might say, an evil beast devoured him, and here is his blood. And when Judah heard the thing which heard this thing, he was exceedingly wroth. Yeah, the truth hurts. And his anger burned within him. And there was before him in that place a stone, the weight of about 400 shekels. And Judah's anger was kindled, and took the stone in one hand and cast it up to the heavens and caught it with the other hand. He threw it up with one, caught it with the other, and he placed it afterwards under his legs. He sat upon it with all his strength, and the stone was turned to dust from the force of Judah. Pretty good feat. Now it says Joseph saw the act of Judah, and he was very much afraid. But he commanded Manasseh, his son. Remember, his son is 6 years old. And he also did with another stone like the act of Judah. And Judah said to his brother, let not any of you say this man is an Egyptian. But by his doing this thing, he is of our father's family. This is what Israel's seed does. They have strength. It's been hidden from us. And Joseph said, not to you only is strength given, for we are also powerful men. This is Joseph speaking. Remember, he's part of the family. And why will you boast over us? And Judah said unto Joseph, send, I pray thee, our brother, and ruin not thy country this day. And Joseph answered and said, go and tell your father, an evil beast has devoured him, as you said concerning his brother Joseph. This is the 4th time that he's brought up Joseph and what they've done. And Judah spoke unto his brother Naphtali. Oh, I like this. And he said unto him, make haste. Go now and number the streets of Egypt, and come and tell me. And Simeon said unto him, let not this thing be a trouble to thee. Now I will go and mount and take up a large stone from the mount. This is Simeon now. He just talked to Naphtali. Now he's talking to, this is now Simeon speaking. Simeon says he's going to take up a large stone from the mount and level it at everyone in Egypt and kill all that are in it. All the people of Egypt. Joseph heard all these words that his brother had spoke before him, and they did not know that Joseph understood them, for they imagined that he knew not to speak Hebrew. They think they're being sneaky. But Joseph was greatly afraid to hear this. Joseph is now realizing his brothers are going to fight. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of his brother, unless they should destroy Egypt. And he commanded his son Manasseh, saying, go now, make haste, and gather unto me all the inhabitants of Egypt, and all the valiant men together, and let them come to me upon horseback and on foot, and with all sorts of musical instruments. What's that all about? And Manasseh went and did so. And Naphtali went as Judah had commanded him, for Naphtali was light-footed as one of the swift stags, and he would go upon the ears of corn, and they would not break under him. He could run over the top of a cornfield. That's how fast he was. And he went and numbered all the streets of Egypt, and found them to be 12. And he came hastily and told Judah, and Judah said unto his brother, hasten you, and put every man his sword upon his loins, and we will come over Egypt and smite them all, and let not a remnant remain. And Judah said, behold, I will destroy 3 of the streets with my strength, and you shall each destroy 1 street. And when Judah was speaking this thing, behold, the inhabitants of Egypt and all the mighty men came toward them with all sorts of musical instruments and with a loud shouting. And their number, look at this, look at their number. Their number was 500 cavalry, 10,000 infantry, and 400 men who could fight without sword or spear, only with their hands and strength. And all the mighty men came with great storming and shouting, and they all surrounded Jacob's seed and terrified them, and the ground quaked at the sound of their shouting. And when the sons of Jacob, Jacob's seed, saw these troops, they were greatly afraid of their lives. And Joseph did so in order to terrify the sons of Jacob to become tranquilized. And Judah, seeing some of his brethren terrified, said unto them, Why are you afraid? Whilst the grace of Elohim is with us. See, we have to understand who we are before Yahovah. But first, we have to become Yahovah's. And when Judah saw all the people of Egypt surrounding them at the command of Joseph to terrify them, only Joseph commanded them, saying, Do not touch any of them. And Judah hastened and drew his sword and uttered a loud and bitter scream. And he smote with his sword, and he sprang upon the ground, and he still continued to shout against all the people. And when he did this thing, Jehovah caused the terror of Judah and his brethren to fall upon the valiant men and all the people that surrounded them. And they all fled. Listen to this. This is how many people that we were just talking about that came? 4,000 on horseback? What was that? I don't even remember where it was now. It's a lot of guys. Oh, here it is. 500 cavalry, 10,000. So you got 10,900 men that were coming up against them right now. And Judah hastened, drew his sword, and uttered. And when he did this thing, Jehovah caused the terror of Judah and his brethren to fall upon the valiant men and all the people that surrounded them. And they all fled at the sound of the shouting, and they were terrified and fell upon one another, and many of them died as they fell. People are starting to die. And they all fled from before Judah and his brethren and from before Joseph. And whilst they were fleeing, Judah and his brethren pursued them unto the house of Pharaoh, and they all escaped. And Judah again sat before Joseph and roared at him like a lion, and gave a great and tremendous shriek at him. Yeah, this is the Taruah that we're talking about. Let me read this. I think I can make this a little bit bigger here. Go. Oh, did it work? Doesn't seem like it increased it much. All right. He will lift up, this is Isaiah 26. He will lift up a banner to the nations from afar and will whistle to them from the ends of the earth. Surely they shall come with speed, swiftly. No one will be weary or stumble among them. No one will slumber or sleep. Nor will the belt of their loins be loosened, nor the straps of their sandals be broken. Whose arrows are sharp, and their bows bent. Their horses' hooves will seem like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring will be like a lion. Do you hear that? The roaring? This is what we saw when they fought the 7 cities. They will roar like young lions. Yes, they will roar and lay hold of the prey. They will carry it away safely, and no one will deliver. It will in that day, they will roar against them like the roaring of the sea, like the roaring of the sea. And if one looks to the land, behold darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened by the clouds. Do you see that maybe there's going to be something similar in the future? And the shriek was heard at a distance, and all the inhabitants of Sukkot heard it. And all the Egyptians quaked at the sound of the shriek. also, and the walls of Egypt and the land of Goshen in the and the walls of Egypt and of the lands of Goshen fell in from the shaking of the earth. And Pharaoh also fell from his throne upon the ground, and all the pregnant women in Egypt and Goshen miscarried when they heard the noise of the shaking, for they were terribly afraid. This is how strong it was. And Pharaoh sent word saying, what is this thing that has this day happened to the land of Egypt? And they came and told him all the things from beginning to end. And Pharaoh was alarmed, and he wondered and was greatly afraid. And his fright increased when he heard all these things. And he sent unto Joseph, saying, thou brought unto me the Hebrews to destroy all Egypt. What will you do with that thievish slave? Send him away and let him go with his brethren, and let us not perish through their evil, even we, you, and all Egypt. And if thou desirest not to do this thing, cast from thee all my valuable things, and go with them to their land, if thou delightest in it. For they will this day destroy my whole country and slay all my people. Even all the women of Egypt have miscarried through their screams. See what they have done merely by shouting and speaking. Moreover, if they fight with a sword, will they destroy the land? Now therefore choose which thou desirest, whether me or the Hebrews, whether Egypt or the land of the Hebrews. And they came and told Joseph all the words of Pharaoh that he had said concerning him, and Joseph was greatly afraid. Hear that? Now Joseph is afraid because the Pharaoh is concerned. And his brethren were still standing before Joseph, indignant and enraged. And all Jacob's seed roared at Joseph like the roaring of the sea and its waves. There it is, the roaring of the sea and its waves. We just talked about in that verse about the roaring of the sea and its waves. And Joseph was greatly afraid of his brethren on account of Pharaoh. And Joseph sought a pretext to make himself known unto his brethren, lest they should destroy Egypt. He's realizing this is getting out of hand. Joseph's brothers, Benjamin's brothers, are going to fight for him. And Joseph commanded his son. And Manasseh went and approached Judah and placed his hand on his shoulder. And the anger of Judah was stilled. Hear this? Is this vibrations? Is this frequency? What's going on here? Manasseh touched Judah's shoulder, and Judah was stilled. And Judah said unto his brethren, let no one say that this is an act of an Egyptian youth, for this is the work of my father's house. This is the third time that he has seen this boy in action, and it's always Manasseh. Why is that? I don't know. Remember, the first time they were trying to take Simeon into captivity, and it was actually Manasseh who grabbed Simeon, punched him behind the neck, and took him, threw him in jail, right in front of the brothers. They said the same thing. For this is the work of my father's house. He's not an act of an Egyptian. And Joseph, seeing and knowing that Judah's anger was stilled, he approached to speak unto Judah the language of mildness. Oh, we're going to talk mildly now. We've been bantering back and forth. And Joseph said, surely you speak truth, and have this day verified your assertions concerning your strength, and may your Elohim, who delighteth in you, increase your welfare. But tell me truly, why from amongst all the brethren dost thou wrangle with me on account of the lad, as none of them have spoken one word to me concerning him. And Judah answered Joseph and said, surely thou must know that I was security for the lad to his father, saying, if I brought him not unto him, I shall bear his blame forever. Therefore have I approached thee from amongst all my brethren, for thou wast unwilling to suffer him to go from thee. Now therefore may I find grace in thy sight, that thou shalt send him to go with us, and behold, I will remain as a substitute for him. He's willing to stay behind so that Benjamin can go back to his dad, to serve thee in whatever thou desirest. For wherever thou shalt send me, I will serve thee with great energy. Listen to this. Send me to a mighty king who has rebelled against thee, and thou shalt know that what I will do unto him in all his land, although he may have cavalry and infantry or exceedingly mighty people. I will slay them all and bring the king's head before thee. Dost thou not know? Hast thou not seen? I love when they use these words because it reminds me of this. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting Elohim, Yahovah, the creator of the ends of the earth, never faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to all the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary. Remember, the youth never get tired, but even the youth shall faint and be weary. The young men, the ones who always fight, will utterly fall. But those who wait on Yahovah shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings of eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Oh my goodness. We serve a great Elohim. Dost thou not know, or hast thou not heard, that our father Abraham with his servant Eliezer smote all the kings of Elam with their hosts in one night? They killed 800,000 men with 318. They left not one remaining, except for the four kings. They got away. And ever since that day, our father's strength was given to us for an inheritance. Hear that? When did the strength that Jehovah's people have come on them? It says that it was the night that they smote these 800,000 men. Oh, so interesting. And ever since that day, our father's strength was given unto us for an inheritance, for us and our seed. How long? Forever. And Joseph answered and said, you speak truth, and falsehood is not in your mouth. For it was also told unto us that the Hebrews have power, and that their master, Yahovah, their Lord, that Yahovah might be that, and that Yahovah, their Elohim, delighteth much in them, and who then can stand before them? However, on this condition will I send your brother. He's still giving them a condition. Why is he doing this? Remember, he's trying to set up a pretense. This is why he's doing it. He wants to set up a pretense for revealing himself. If you will bring me his brother, the son of his mother, of whom you said he would gone from you down to Egypt. And it shall come to pass when you bring unto me his brother, I will take him in his stead, because not one of you was security for him to your father. And when he shall come unto me, I will send with you his brother, for whom you have been security. And Judah's anger was kindled against Joseph when he spoke this thing, and his eyes dropped blood with anger. Oh, he's ticked. And he said unto his brethren, how does this man this day seek his own destruction, and that of all Egypt? And Simeon answered Joseph, saying, did we not tell thee at first that we knew not the particular spot to which he went, and whether he was dead or alive? This is him speaking to Joseph, Simeon speaking to Joseph. And wherefore speaketh my Lord like unto these things? And Joseph observed the countenance of Judah, discerning that his anger began to kindle when he spoke unto him. He's seeing it come back and saying, bring me your brother instead of this brother. And Joseph said unto his brethren, surely you said that your brother was either dead or lost. Now, if I should call him this day, and he shall come before you, would you give him unto me instead of his brother? Again, another test, still another test. And Joseph began to speak and call out, Joseph, Joseph, come this day before me and appear to thy brethren and sit before them. And this is where we're going to stop. Joseph is all ready to reveal himself, and we're going to see it next week. This is already putting chills down my body. Well, I hope that you're enjoying this. I hope that you're seeing the difference between what we read in Genesis and what we're reading here in Yasher. There's power in being one of Yehovah's people. There's blessing. Remember, what was it? Deuteronomy 28, the blessings and the curses. 15 blessings. All the rest, 15 on, is curses. We want the blessings. Well, next week, we're going to see Joseph revealed. Next week, we're going to see what happens when Simeon and Benjamin and all the 10 brothers appear before Jacob. Oh, my gosh, is he going to have a heart attack? Just seeing that Benjamin is all of a sudden there? Well, they're going to make provisions for that case. It's all very interesting to see how it's all going to come together. And we'll talk about it next time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. And we'll see you again soon.